सर हमारे पीछे कुछ लोग पड़े हुए सर।
थोड़ा लगेगा, कहीं भी हो जाए गाड़ी मत रोक दो, मैं आ रहा हूँ।
सर जल्दी करिए प्लीज।
I personally feel socially and emotionally we have stopped trusting each other.
Hi everybody, it's Salish from AsianCultureVulture.com. How are you doing? We are in Venice, not physically, but our special correspondent Tatiana Rosenstein is. She's caught up with the people behind Stolen, the Indian film which just had its world premiere in Venice. She's talking to the writer-director Karan Tejpal and the actor Shubham. Let's go and find out more.
So how did you come up with the idea of Stolen? How did the process happen?
The seed of the idea came from a newspaper and a sort of news article and some news that was circulating on social media about two young men who were brutally lynched by a mob in 2018 in Assam. And the two young men, they were very much from my we are from a very we're lucky from a very privileged background in India, where we have access to education, we have access to state services and all of that, but most of India doesn't have access to that. And so this incident where these two men were lynched really shook me, because I spent a lot of my time in the outdoors. These were just two young boys, went fishing, and a mob set upon them, falsely accusing them of being child kidnappers, and brutally murdered them. There were videos, very, very horrific videos of them online, and it really affected me a lot, because I spent a lot of my time outdoors with my friends, and I could almost see myself in their place. And that was really the birth of Stolen. It kind of started there. But as I developed it, got more into it, and sort of started to research, talk to police, journalists, I realized that the problem is actually, it's not so simple that these are innocent people getting lynched. That is happening, but the reason why they're getting lynched is because there is a lot of the child crime in India and around the world, I believe, is rising at a rapid pace. In India alone, more than 50,000 children get abducted each year. I mean, staggering numbers because of our staggering population. So then this whole process began, where we were like, we kind of found out about, it's like a catch-22. There's child crime, which the child crime is inflicted on the poorer, underprivileged, marginalized communities. They don't have access to state services, and hence they are forced to take matters into their own hands, and that's giving rise to this kind of vigilantism.
I read the script, and I personally really like these kind of scripts, and I've been writing scripts which are very similar to this, which are talking about marginal communities of India or talking about migrant laborers. And there are film from the road and from the people, to the people of the road. And then when I talked to Karan, sorry, we call him Katie. So then we started jamming, and I started liking his idea of making this film and how we are making this film. And since coming of internet in India, and there's a major political shift after 2014. With that, some extreme things are happening in India, and I personally feel socially and emotionally we have stopped trusting each other, maybe, and I don't know the reason, and I'm still figuring out. I'm trying to make sense of this world we are living in right now. Like, is it mobile phones, or is it the information or misinformation on the internet? What is happening that we are losing that trust within each other? And that's why, apart from the theme of the film, very interesting thing for me was the characters and their relationships. Relationship with a brother, relationship with a stranger woman who's not from your class, and how does trust play, who's trusting who, and why the brothers don't trust each other in certain manners. That layer was very interesting for me.
Surrogacy is now in India, commercial surrogacy is illegal, but it carries on. It's sort of like that, but it is illegal. You're only allowed surrogate. You can only have a surrogate mother if they are your blood relative, and without the exchange of any money or any kind of anything in exchange, basically. So it has to be altruistic surrogacy. And the reason they outlawed it is because there was so much it was being misused. And one of the things that we kind of used in the story, which is purely from our research, is that most of these surrogate in India there are surrogate clinics. In Gujarat especially is one of the centers of this place, where they have these surrogate clinics where dozens of women are together giving birth for somebody else. And one of the common problems in that was that in the case of surrogacy, because of the way the science works, there were often twins born. More than 50% times there were twins born. And in many cases in India there were and because it was cheap in India, a lot of Westerners, a lot of people from around the world were coming there to do their surrogacy in India, and often and very very often there were cases where they would only take one child, and the second child was left up to the mother or to state services or whatever. And so all of these, because of all these issues, because of the way that it was being misused, the government actually stopped commercial surrogacy a few years ago.
I am sure about this, that at least these kind of films or any other art form where we talk about these issues, they start a conversation. And I think the first step is very important, to start a conversation so that people start talking about these things. No one wants to make a film which only 4 people or 5 people watches and I'm a special director. I don't think so anyone wants that. Everyone is trying that, but I think because of certain conditions, certain money conditions, people are choosing certain style to make this film, or they are choosing style so that it is true to their subject. And that's why I think Stolen is the perfect example of that. The style of the film totally matches with the story of the film and the characters, how they are doing, and automatically the kind of acting we are doing in the film. And I'm hoping people start a conversation with this film, so that people start talking about these things. People start talking about mob amongst themselves, that what is happening, why are we behaving like this, and why is this one message of WhatsApp is more important than a life of a person who are you meeting.
When I want to tell these stories about real aspects of the world around us, I think that's why, like he said, the realistic cinema varied style really works for it very well. There is very little room for padding, and very little room for sort of softening that process. I want people to feel uncomfortable. Like he said, even it is too presumptuous of us that things will change, but at least if the conversation starts, and hence I think it's very important to make it feel extremely real, and make it feel like this is a journey that you're on with those characters.
Location, was it a hilly area in was it Mandali indeed?
No, this was in Rajasthan, actually in the desert, and we have those small the Aravalis, which are these low stone hills. The location was, it's so crazy that actually I went to school very close to where we shot the film. I went to school for 7 years, about 30 kilometers away. And the first time I went to this place, Pushkar, where we shot the film, actually was when I was 11 years old, for a school trip. And constantly revisited over the years when I was in school, many times, in my life. And then I landed up over there to make my film, because we were looking for a location that had, again, because we do not have much budget and our department is very expensive. So, we were looking for locations that can be very edgy, that can be very, cinematic. And we wanted a smaller space where we have a mix of landscapes and a mix of terrain. And that's how we sort of landed up in Pushkar, actually.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.